Spark encapsulates our passion for exploring the vast unknown of unvoiced thoughts and ideas.
Macie, mi din di Bridget. Ciao, il mio nome è Bridget. Hi, my name is Bridget Kyeremateng, and I am a global storyteller who lived in the United States as an undocumented Ghanaian Italian immigrant for nearly 15 years. It was a circumstance that shaped me into becoming a conscious storyteller with a drive to positively impact diverse communities. For a living, I amplify these communities at Twitch as their senior manager for inclusive marketing. And for the first time ever on this stage, I'll be telling mine. I was born in Brescia, Italia in 1995, a time when access to the internet and information was wildly different. Born to Ghanaian parents, I lived in Italy for nearly 7 years. My first language was actually Twi, a dialect spoken in Ghana. But of course, over time, living in an ethnically diverse town in Italy, Italian became my second and primary language. Italy was my home. I spoke the language. I ate the food. I had a community, and I even used my hands to speak. I still do. But unfortunately, due to the racism embedded in Italy's socio-political history and current environment, it made it extremely unbearable for anyone who wasn't ethnically Italian to succeed above the standards that were placed amongst them. My first moment of adversity was when my family and I moved to California in 2002. In my 7-year-old brain, I was so eager to use the 3 English words that I learned in Italy. Yes, no, hamburger. Well, those didn't last me long, as I soon found myself in a California elementary school. And nobody spoke Italian, just English and Spanish. As an immigrant with deep and strong roots both in my Ghanaian heritage and my Italian culture, at the time, it felt imperative for me to assimilate into this new culture. So, MTV, BET were all pivotal forms of American media that shaped me into understanding this culture. And it was also during this time that we saw a rise of social media. But there was one particular platform that catapulted me into peak millennial core, as Gen Z like to call it, and that was Tumblr, a digital platform that was ignited by aesthetics, blog-inspired entries, and cultivated Black digital culture. It was during this time that social media encouraged me to find my voice. Now, finding my voice set me on a path towards becoming a storyteller. And to achieve becoming a storyteller, I had to go to college. But unfortunately, the realities of affording a college as an undocumented student was a very, very far reach. The US didn't recognize me as a green card holder. I had to pay out of college state tuition, which was 4 times as much as the in-state tuition in California, the state that I had resided in for 10 years. Fortunately, in that year, in 2012, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, also known as DACA, was signed into law, and it temporarily shielded me from deportation. At the same time, the California DREAM Act gave me and provided me financial aid for higher education. Both of these policies reinforced my belief that higher education is a right for undocumented students. Now, while working to pay myself through UC Santa Barbara, home of the Gauchos, it was there that I learned how to be a storyteller. The Women's Ensemble Theater Troupe, a local theater community at UCSB that I led in 2016 and 2017, ignited my passion for women's rights and making impactful art. Student organizations ignited my passion to help liberate and elevate stories of underrepresented communities. And being a tour guide while leading 144 tours while walking backwards ignited my passion for public speaking and inspiring the next generation to dream big. At the end of my UCSB journey, I was honored to be the commencement speaker for my fellow graduates. And surrounded by my graduates, I spoke to social changers and prepared them and myself for what would be our new transformative journey. Now, your passion can drive your transformation, but active transformation takes courage, ambition, and community support. We've now entered that chapter in my life. In 2017, at 22 years old, I was bored of living in California. So I decided to take a gamble on myself and move to one of the most challenging cities in the world, New York City. And as an undocumented immigrant, I didn't have a frame of reference on how to do that at the time. And we've all seen the TikToks of everyone moving to New York City. And there was just no romanticizing it back then. YouTube could really only take me so far. It took some time convincing my mom, but I finally made the move to New York City in 2017 with a broken iPhone 6 and a dream. I had enough savings to hold me down for 3 months before I completely ran out of money. So I moved to Brooklyn, lived with 5 roommates, and we shared 2 bathrooms. I lived off pasta, rice, soy protein shakes, shrimp. I'd get free dinners from networking events while trying to meet someone who knew someone who knew someone who could possibly just lend me an interview. I took every no as a redirection and every person I met as an opportunity to expand my digital and professional network. It took 300 applications before I landed my first job. New York embraced me with a crushing hug. Its energy was both exhilarating and exhausting at the same time. But a year in, a lifeline had emerged. A digital platform that I had mentioned earlier was looking for someone to amplify diverse creators through their marketing campaigns. And at the time, this job was one of a kind. And it resonated with every fiber of my being, both as a Black woman and as a storyteller. Now, landing the role was not easy. I needed to get my resume in front of the right people. So I tapped into my network and navigated a chain of connections until I finally landed that interview. In the 2 years as Tumblr's social impact lead, I reimagined what social impact marketing campaigns could look like. Music, art, and content are all intertwined in amplifying and sharing the voices of those often left unheard. And now, this wasn't just about marketing. It was about opening doors for future marketers and allowing them to share their voice and prove the power of storytelling for good. But my hunger, it yearned for a bigger stage. So in 2020, I joined Spotify's social impact team, and I revolutionized their support for diverse creators, from spotlighting smaller creators to crafting global campaigns with icons such as Big Freedia and Uchis. I saw the impact firsthand. Podcasts with activists like Dominique Morgan highlighted the journeys of women. It showed the power and the testament to amplifying voices on a global platform. And my journey continues, driven by the belief that every voice deserves to be heard and every story shared. In tandem, while working for these platforms, I always came back to how social media allowed me to expand my resources. Just like Tumblr, Instagram also became a place where I expanded my resources and built my community. I created opportunities simply by what? My vast network. I'm a DJ, a model, and a writer, all in New York City, simply through the power of social media. In 2020, just after 18 years of being in the United States, I finally became a US citizen. And in 2023, just after 21 years of being in the United States, I was officially listed on the Forbes 30 Under 30 as one of today's innovative, forward-thinking, and leading marketers. When I was invited to speak for TEDx, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and joy to come and share my story. Why? Because adversity ignites our passion. We're all faced with moments in our lives that challenge us to think differently and push us out of our comfort zone. It is up to me, it is up to you to look at adversity in the eye, welcome it, and conquer that chapter. Build a community of people that will support you. It is without a doubt that your ability to honor your skills, your passions, and your community will build a moment where there are no bounds to your success. Standing here today, I wish someone told me when I was younger that my story was worth telling, that it was important. I wanted to have an impact with my words. And 22 years later, here I am. We'll all face adversities in our lives, and don't let it discourage you from the person that you are destined to be. Let the embers of this story ignite a fire within you. It is my hope that you leave feeling inspired to become your own storyteller and to use your voice in any format possible. Medasse. Grazie mille a tutti. Thank you.